much more open, where the power distance is much more closer, alright, it might work better. So that is a weakness that might be attributable to the usage of wikis in the workplace as well. Alright? And this is a question that you should ponder, alright, especially during the break. What makes Wikipedia important to you? Alright? And when you answer this particular question within yourself, think about the sort of benefits and the sort of negative things that is attributable or that can be associated with Wikipedia. Right? And you find that a lot of it correspond also to the positive and negative of using wiki as a tool in order to improve the lot or the conditions within organization. So that is the first tool that we've discussed, that we are going to discuss today, wiki. We will continue with blogs after the break. Right? We take a short break first, then we go with blogs.
这样。 他打住了。What the fuck？
你看我飞去什么国家？
我的国家，我的心脏跟榴莲一样黏，这么
哇呀，为什么我们有3个射手了？我都不知道。来，这你几只手？谢谢。我是在，你不了卡着。我卸掉2个东西。不要打了。开始了，好不好？那我们流汗然后会。但是我要吐了，我要吐。
什么毛玩意？ 我就在电看的。
Alright, the second class. Alright, the second tool that we are looking at for today is block. Alright, and this is based on materials created by Dr. Michelle Hose. Alright, in discussing what is blocks, right, and how do blocks function now. Of course, we won't go that long or that detailed into blocks simply because class, alright, most of you are quite familiar with blocks. Some of you might even have your own blocks, right, or used to run your own blocks. Some of you might follow other blocks or might read blocks, alright, regularly or not, okay. But I'm sure all of you are familiar with blocks, okay. So what are blocks? Alright, now essentially block is a short form from the word weblog. Right? It refers to a type of website that is usually arranged in chronological order from the most recent post or entry at the top of the main page to the older entries towards the bottom. That is essentially what a blog is. Okay? And a blog is also a website that functions as a journal or a diary or a place to post your thoughts and opinions pertaining to a particular subject matter. So that is essentially what a blog is, right? It is a place where people can go to say whatever they think is important about any subject matter and share their thoughts, ideas, reflection to other people who follows the blog, right? And blog, of all the tools, right, that we will be looking at in terms of its place in social networking, blogs are probably one of the oldest, right? In fact, blogs came to be even before the term social media existed. before we use that particular term, people have been blogging. Okay, and this particular tradition, if you will probably continue on until I'm not sure when, but it is something that is still continuing up until today. Alright, and there are many different ways that you can blog, right? And you can define your blog based on the different approaches that you take when you are blogging. Here are examples of the types of blogs, right? Number one, perhaps the most famous types of blog is of course the personal blogs, right? The personal blog is essentially an ongoing diary or commentary by an individual, and it is probably the most common form of blogs, right? And a personal blog can be something that has a topic. It can also have something that is free-wheeling, meaning that there is no specific topics on it, right? And even though personal blogs are done from a personal perspective, some of them transcend, right, even a personality in terms of its popularity. For example, in Malaysia, there is a very famous car blog, right? Paul Tan, for example, right? He started off as his own personal blogs about cars and things concerning vehicles, and now has grown into almost an organization in itself, right? Paul Tan Automotive Blog, for example. You have video blogs, right? You have blogs. Paul Tan even hires staff writers, right? Other people to write stuff about their blogs. Class. Short time, please. Okay, so that is the most common type of blog. Apart from personal blog, there is also what we call as corporate blogs, right? It is a blog created mostly by organization designed to further their business agenda, right? Normally companies use a corporate blog to talk about their product, their branding, their activities, to give some form of insight, okay, over the type of things that they do, right, in order to reach the customer and things like that, right? And corporate blogs are very popular. Almost all major organizations do have some form of blogging function within their main website. Corporate blogs are also very popular, especially among small, medium enterprises, right? A lot of small, medium enterprises use blogs as a means of disseminating or giving out information concerning their company, the product, and the services that they provide. Another way of looking at corporate blog is, of course, to look at how blog sometimes allows people working within that organization to carry out information about. For example, a lot of company founders have their own blogs, right? People like Mark Cuban, for example, he has his own personal blog as well as a corporate type blog talking about business in general and things like that. People like Mark Zuckerberg posted regularly, right, in Facebook as a blog, right, in order to talk to people, tell people, inform people about their activities, right? There is also another type of blog known as question blogging, right? These are websites or blogs that are dedicated in answering questions concerning issues. Normally, there are topical question blogs. There are also non-topical question blogs, right? Topical question blogs, for example, if you have questions concerning law, for example, there are lots of blogs on the internet that talks about law issues, right? If you have concern over contractual law, for example, there are lawyers and law professors who run blogs, right? Politics. A lot of blogs concerning questions about politics are run by commentators, political science professors, right? I used to visit those blogs a lot. I still visiting them, following them, for example, for the usage of my own research, for example, I use a lot of information taken from political blogs, right? There are also general blogging, question blogging sites such as, what is the name? Quora.com. Quora.com, for example, is is an example of a question blogging, a general question blogging site where you can post any question and they will get experts to answer your question. Alright? Next, you can also redefine or extend your definition of a blog in terms of the media type. Alright, about that particular blog. For example, now we also have lots and lots of V-blog or video blogs. Alright, this is especially popular in what you call that, platforms such as YouTube. Alright, where you find there are a lot of V-blogs concerning millions of different topics. Fashion, a lot of fashion video blog, beauty care, even a lot of hobby-related video blogs out there, any type of hobby, right? There are also many video blogs concerning specialist topics, right? Such as science, right? And of course, you can also create blogs out of certain devices, right? Sometimes you have app-based blog, right? Sometimes known as what? Audio blog, known as? What is the other name for audio blog? I'm also trying to remember what's the other name for an audio blog. An audio blog is known as podcast. Alright, another name for an audio blog, based on media, is of course a podcast. Okay, a comedian made a joke last week in the Seth Meyer show. Is that regardless whether you're a Republican, you're a liberal, or if you're whatever is your political affiliation, one thing is certain in America: everybody has a podcast. All right. Podcast is also a version of blog, right? But that is in audio form, right? In photo form, you also have your photo blog. Okay, a lot of photo blogs are in Instagram, for example, where people put out photographies. Alright, some are very topical, some are very open-ended, some are meant for businesses, some are only meant for personal and special interest consumption. Right, so there are also these types of blogs. Okay, and some blogs are very genre-based, meaning that they are based on certain topics, right? For example, you have travel blogs, political blogs, I've talked about it, house blogs, very, very popular, right? Interior decor blogs, right? I like to read them a lot. Okay, my wife likes to read them a lot as well. My wife is in real estate. Alright, so he likes to read a lot of these home blogging sites. Alright, you have fashion blogs, project blogs, education blogs, niche blogs. Okay, blogs that cover very specialist type of topics. Alright, you also have classical music blogs. Alright, they are quite interesting if you like classical music. Quizzing blogs, legal blogs. Okay, and also sometimes even dream blogs. People who blog about their dreams, right? There are also people who do that, and a myriad of other topics. These are just some of the topics. There are millions of other topics, right? Did not mention. Okay, all right. And then, what are the content, right, of a blog? Okay, usually contents in blogs are what? The most important aspect in a blog that differentiate blogs from, let's say, not just personal opinion, but how that particular opinion is being put, right? And only this particular approach is what we call as a blog pro, right? Where the latest posting becomes the most important posting. The most recent one will be highlighted, whereby the previous posting are then archived within that particular blog as well, alright? And normally that differentiates the sort of approach in blogging. Number one, the idea of a blog pro. Number two is this one. The idea that all contents within a blog, at least most of them, if not all of them, is open for public to leave comments about the articles or the content that is being published. Meaning that you can agree, disagree, put your own opinion, start a conversation, alright, things like that. And that's what makes blogging very interesting for both individuals and organizations. For example, corporate blogs use this particular approach in order to get conversation going. right, about certain topics, certain products, certain services, certain branding activities. And it is widely used as a marketing tool, especially for small, medium enterprises to get conversation going about their activities. And of course, you can always keep track of your blog by using RSS, which sadly has been discontinued by Google, alright, Atom, or even RTF files. Alright, these are extensions that you can use to help you keep track of a blog. Alright, here are a few blogging tips by Dr. Michelle Coates. Alright, if you are an organization and you want to explore blogging as an approach in venturing into social networking, for example, class. Number one, post regularly. Alright, meaning that you have to update your blog regularly. Okay, but don't force your update. Don't need to post when you have nothing worth posting about. Alright, try to focus your blog into several key discussions that you want to have concerning certain topics or certain approaches in business. Alright, do not overburden your reader with subscribe and vote me links all over the front page. Okay, try to use a clean and simple theme if at all possible. And remember, regardless whether you are blogging personally or for a business, a blog should be a very fun, simple, and a very informal type of place where you discuss things. It should not be too formal and too bogged down by rules and regulations. Right? Even for corporate blogs for that matter. Alright? Now, Dr. Michelle Coates is someone who did her PhD in blogging. Right? So she is an expert in this particular field. Alright? And she also talks about how you can use blog to generate revenue for businesses. Right? How can blogs be a source of revenue? Number one, you can use blog to sell advertisement. Right? That is something that has been going on for a long time. Alright? You can also use blog to help sell your product as well as other people's product. Okay? Meaning that if you don't sell certain product, you can create blog that influence other people to buy your product. We normally call those type of blogger as influencer. Right? And we are now living in the age of influencer marketing. Right? As noted by the Kantar, the discussion that we have over that was created by Kantar Media. Right? We had 2 weeks ago, where what we call as the influencer economy is becoming a much more important sort of approach within social media marketing. Alright? Next, solicit contributions. Sometimes through blogs you can ask for money, especially if you want to ask for money for good causes. For example, you have tragedies happening in Mexico concerning the earthquake. For example, you can solicit some form of funds using blogs to get money for charity. Alright, you can also market your services in your blog. Blogs are especially important in services, especially for small, medium enterprises, especially those that are involved in repository of blogs. For example, there are in many markets around the world where you can go to one place where they collect all the services blog and they put it in a directory. Right, so that if you want to, for example, find a maid service, there will be like several maid services blogs available in a repository. Okay, those sort of approaches being taken throughout the world in order to market services. And of course, you can also use blogs to create a much deeper relationship marketing approach, whereby you create conversations and you have deep, meaningful conversations about products and product categories using a blog as a means of creating that particular space for your customers. Alright, so these are some of the tips, okay, that you can use in order to generate money. Okay, these are examples of blogging sites that you can use. A lot of them are free. For example, Blogger, WordPress, Technorati, Live Journal. Okay, these are all available that you can check out, and I'm sure most of you are familiar with them anyway. These are places where you can blog, you can advertise your blog, right? Top ranked blogs, blog catalog, and blog top sites, right? And if you want to sell space in blogs, these are of course some of the places, and of course the most popular one is this, Google AdWords, right? where you can use your blog in order to generate direct income if your blogs are popular enough. Okay, and these are some web resources that you can refer to understand more about blogs. Alright, now when it comes to blogs, like I said earlier, it is an old technology or an old enabler within social network. In fact, people started blogging even before they started talking about social networking and social media. Right? It has been absorbed within the ecosystem of what social media is later. Right? And blogs are still useful. Some blogs are very, very popular. Some business segment blogs are one of the main forms of communication. For example, fashion. Right? In the world of fashion, blogging is still very, very influential. Right? There are lots of fashion bloggers out there who has a lot of influence over taste, over types of product, over brands that at times even supersede a more traditional sort of venue for that particular industry. For example, fashion blogs are now said to be more influential than magazines, for that matter, right? So in certain segment, in certain industry, blogs are important, right? And it is still something worthwhile for us to take note of, to understand and to approach as a business. As a marketer, for example, when you think about exploring options in order for you to extend your social media coverage as well as your social media presence, one of the ways that you can use is always blogging, right? Like I've said, if you are in certain types of business segment, blogs are still being considered as the main reference point. Alright? Okay? And that's it for today. Right? So for today we have looked at 3 actual tools. One this morning, which is Folksonomy. Alright? We've also looked at blogs. Okay? And we've also looked at wikis. Alright? Next week we'll explore other tools right within the ecosystem of social media and social networking in order to understand what are their roles within business. Right? So that's it. Let me take your attendance. If you have any question, you can ask them.